What's up, guys? KAMIKAZE-FOX coming to you from SRL F1 2020, and this is Season 6. This is preseason testing here at Paul Ricard in France. And going to do a 90-minute practice session for preseason testing and go over some of the names and drivers and see where everybody's going to stack up going into Season 6 of SRL. And while there are a lot of SRL leagues, there's only one Sandro Racing League, and that is what we are looking at today. So far, we've got 12 drivers joining the test. We should have a few more coming in, hopefully in a little bit. But we'll run down who we've got so far. Some new drivers. Well, not very many new drivers, actually. Got a big list of returning drivers, actually, this year. As we take a look here at Reese March in the Haas once again. And Reese has been with us for a number of years now, trying to get some information up for everybody. Got the track map going, got the lap times going. But Reese March returning once again. In the Haas, his teammate this year is going to be Samuel Brandt, of course. Samuel Brandt returning once again. It'll be his 6th season in SRL, along with the Haas team. And Reese March, this is going to be his 3rd full-time season with us in SRL. And also the 3rd season that he's going to be with Sam Brandt at Haas. These two have made a good team over the past number of years. Hopefully they'll be looking to put some more points on the board and maybe fight for the Constructors' Championship. Reese also does a lot of actual kart racing in real life, and he also participates in IRL, the F5 series. IRL I also commentate for. They have 5 tiers. They had so many drivers sign up this year, they had to do 5 tiers of Formula 1 racing. He races in the F5, which is actually going to be running tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I will be commentating F3 at that same time over on the IRL channel, so you can check us out. Reese March returning once again. 3rd season. And then, of course, we have Sandro Dulius, your team owner. I'm sorry, your league owner and league president. Obviously with Ferrari once again. Returning for his, obviously, the 6th full-time season, and his teammate will once again be Dion Stahl, the longest tenured teammates in SRL history. They've always been teammates. They've always been at Ferrari. And Sandro, I believe, even though he is the league president and league owner, I don't think he's ever actually won a championship in his own league. So here's to show you the I think it's a testament to how fair Sandro is when it comes to his league. I know there's been rumors in the past of a lot of different leagues where league owners seem to give themselves special treatments, but that's never been the case with Sandro. This is a very fair league when it comes to rules and regulations. Everybody's got to abide by the same thing. There's a stewards panel for on-track altercations. There's moderators for off-track altercations in the group chat. So props to Sandro running a tight ship for all these years and obviously being back for one more season. He had a bit of a difficult time last year, though, unfortunately. And the season actually kicked off at Silverstone with him getting a DNF. And I think it was Silverstone last year that he actually had a mechanical problem with his pedal setup, where he was only getting 70% throttle through his rig, and it actually cost him quite a bit of time down the straights. But unfortunately, Sandro did start off the year last year, round 1 and round 2, back-to-back DNFs. It means that he's never, unfortunately, won a championship. He always has been primarily top 5 in points. But last year was a bit of a struggle. And actually going into today, He did state the other day that it's been about 4 months since he's even played an F1 game. I mean, he got F1 2020, didn't really pick it up to play it at all before really heading into the preseason test today. So currently third quickest out on the hard tires, trying to get a feel for the car, get a feel for the handling model of this year's game. The handling model seems to be, I think, a little easier, if I have to say so myself. I'm not very good at the Formula One games, but I have been playing a little bit through my career, and I've also been enjoying the Schumacher edition, so he was always my favorite driver, so it's been a lot of fun racing around in the old Jordan, in the Benettons. So he's definitely going to be getting a feel for the handling model. Hopefully it's a little bit easier for him this year, maybe. But for what it's worth, he did put together a string of podiums through the second part of the season last year. Unfortunately, it was too little too late as far as anything goes, as far as the championship went. But he did have 3 podiums last year, to his credit. So good on him. And we see the fastest driver so far has been Jensen Randall in the Mercedes. He set his time on the mediums. Jensen joining us, I believe, for the second season. Yeah, this is his second season. He'll be paired up with last year's champion, Tim Ventic will be his teammate. So, unfortunately, Team Mercedes is going to be very strong, not only in real life, but very strong in the SRL camp. Jensen Randall proved to be very quick last year. Too little too late for any type of championship, but Tim Ventic, obviously the defending champion, and a lot of people looking at Tim Ventic to back it up again this year and take home a second championship. Now, his biggest contender last year in the first part of the season was Lewis Marshall. Unfortunately, Lewis not with us this year. Lewis, a very fast driver, a little bit of a hothead, but him and Vasilios Belafiotis definitely giving Tim Ventic a run for his money. And then after that, it was Luke Mathiasen that was able to give Tim a run for his money. Unfortunately, none of those drivers participated in a full year in order to try and snatch that championship away from Tim Ventic. So Tim was able to walk away with it towards the latter part of the season. And ultimately, Tim did end up, obviously he did end up champion. But he had 12 podiums to his credit. I think if I'm looking at my notes right, 6 wins, 12 podiums, and a handful of pole positions. I think he had 4 pole positions last year. Jensen Randall, on the other hand, he's proven to be very fast, not only in the F1, but also in the IMSA series that we were running on Project Cars 2 this past season. We did the 2.4 hours of Daytona, which we did multi-class. Good on me. I won the GTE class, so that was kind of cool. But we also did LMP2 IMSA series, and Jensen proved to be very fast throughout the course of that as well. So he's definitely got some speed. Obviously, he's top of the charts right now with a 137.53, just putting some laps in on the medium tires. Try and get you some stats here on Jensen Randall. Again, on second season. This is going to be, I guess, his second full-time season with us as far as the F1 goes. But Jensen was able to put together a string of podium finishes last year. In fact, he had 3 podiums in a row towards the end of the season. So good on him for that. And again, Tim Ventic's going to be his teammate, and that is going to be that's going to be a really strong team. Not only are they got the defending driver champion, but both of them are very quick. So Mercedes looking to be the constructors champion as well, which, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't sit well with me because I'm just tired of seeing Mercedes win everything. But let's take a look at Slow Saturn. This is Dennis Carenchi's. Dennis, in his second season, last year wasn't even a full season for him. I want to say he actually started off as a reserve driver, and he actually did prove to have a little bit of speed last year. He did have a couple of good battles throughout the season with some of the drivers, so He's returning for a second season. Good on him. He'll be in the BWT, obviously, Racing Point. And Dennis's teammate is going to be Ivan Brito. Ivan Brito will be returning for his third season. A little bit of a fan favorite. Ivan Brito always seems to have some fans in the stands. He does race with the PTRL, the Portuguese Racing League, which is headed up by former SRL and IRL driver Jorge Correa. So I haven't seen Jorge or talked to him in quite a while now. But Ivan Brito and Dennis Carenchis, Dennis did have a podium finish back at Singapore last year, so good on him. So, and like I said, I believe he started off as a reserve driver last year, so see if he can put some things together. Currently second fastest right now on the hard tires, 131.363. Just trying to keep tabs on everybody. And then there's a lot of talk about this guy right here in the AlphaTauri, Mdrav_18. That's Andrea Elatrella. And talked earlier this week with Cameron Weston Edwards, who we'll get to in just a few minutes, but Andrea came on last year late, and very late in the season, and proved to be quite a quick driver. Cameron Weston Edwards thinking that Andrea is the only one that might be able to give Tim a run for his money. In fact, Andrea did have a couple of podium finishes. He did win round 19 at Singapore last year. So Andrea in the AlphaTauri this year, I think he's going to be one to watch. And I kind of agree with Cameron. I think just a little bit that I've seen out of Andrea so far in SRL, he's definitely got good pace, and be interesting to see how the season kicks off. Oh, we've got a car that just went around. That could have been Nick Van Gelder. Yes, it's Van Gelder, unfortunately, losing it. Van Gelder, your Season 4 champion, having a little bit of an issue in the Red Bull. In the Williams, we've got Brian Power, who, Brian's really just a character. I mean, Brian's a good guy to have around off track, keeps things light, definitely has a sense of humor about him. He's in his second season. So Brian, not much to say there. Unfortunately, the majority of his season was filled with DNFs. I'm sure he'll be looking to improve upon that heading into this season. But he did have a double-digit DNFs last year, up to 10 DNFs, unfortunately. So he spent half the season basically in a wrecked car, and around goes Brian Power. So speaking of DNFs, he's almost caused one here in practice. So a little bit of argy-bargy there. I don't know if they're just trying to race around for fun in this 90-minute preseason test, but Brian Power losing it there heading into the chicane on the backstretch. And then we have the infamous Cameron Weston Edwards, longtime driver here in SRL, and he's returning for his fourth full-time season with SRL, and he actually started the IRL, International Racing League, many years ago. I mean, due to some schooling and some private issues, he basically has handed that league off to Sandro Racing, who's done an amazing job with Brandon Glover and Jared Fosbury and a number of other drivers and administrators to make that league what it is today. But it was started by this guy right here, Cameron Weston Edwards, and Edwards is he's a lot of fun to watch. He's a very aggressive driver, really an Ayrton Senna type mentality. If there's a gap, he's going to go for it. He's going to definitely put his car in some precarious positions and definitely let you make the decision as to how you want to go about it. And he's a very hard driver to pass. His defending is quite aggressive. We often refer to him as the Ryan Newman of the SRL, and for you NASCAR fans out there, Ryan Newman has been dubbed the hardest driver to pass in NASCAR, and that is quite the testament to Cameron Weston Edwards. I doubt we'll see any aggressive defending here in practice, but Cameron Weston Edwards still looking for his maiden SRL victory. Now, he did win this summer's SRL Indy 500 in spectacular fashion, basically a last lap wreck in some mayhem in turn 1, and Cameron was able to come through unscathed. So he took home his maiden SRL win. As far as the Indy 500 is concerned, it was a big win for him, but he's still looking for that maiden F1 win in SRL. And he hasn't run a full season the last couple of years because of schooling and university and some private matters, but when he does run, he's been amazing on his starts. Heading into last season, he was... we had talked a little bit on how he had practiced his starts from the get-go, and it showed as the immediate round. I think Cameron was probably one of, if not the best driver at taking positions from the start. He often led every race he was in. Unfortunately, he was never able to walk away with that win that he's been searching for. He did say this year he's going to try and make as many races as possible. But it doesn't sound like he's going to be able to make a full season, unfortunately. But we do look forward to seeing him. And he's going to be paired up with Rennie van der Staap, another familiar face. Now, Rennie, another good guy to have in the league, another great driver. He'll be returning for his 4th season. But he did get banned last year after round 6 for causing a massive collision with Tim Bentic. I believe it was round 6 at China. And, which was too bad. Rennie van der Staap, though. No, round 6 was Monaco, I'm sorry. It may have been Bahrain, I can't remember. I want to say it was China, but... yeah, it was China. It was round 8. Unfortunately, that was a bad race for McLaren. Cameron Weston Edwards got disqualified from the race for being a part of a melee that was, in fact, with Rennie van der Staap and Tim Bentic. And unfortunately, I think it cost a couple other drivers some issues during that race. So Rennie, unfortunately, got banned for the remainder of the season last year after round 8. But Team McLaren was looking really strong at the beginning of the season. There was high hopes for that team to be fighting for the Constructors' Championship. And once again, I feel like that might be part of the deal. I do feel like if anybody's going to give Team Mercedes a Constructors run, it would be Team McLaren this year with Cameron Weston Edwards and Rennie van der Staap. Both of those drivers are very capable of getting to the podium. In fact, Cameron did get a couple of podiums in the little bit of races that he was in last year. Actually had 5 podiums to his credit, so he's definitely got some speed. A lot of fun to watch. Currently 6th quickest, 1:34.033 on the hard tires. And it looks like he might be running a race simulation. He's out there on 10-lap old hards. Just trying to get a feel for how the car's going to act on some old hard tires. And you see the running order hasn't really changed as we continue to run down it in this 90-minute preseason test. And we pick up Nick Van Gelder in a bit of a scrap with Ferrari and an Alfa Romeo. It looks like that might be Robin Hertischen behind him. But Nick Van Gelder, we saw go around a little bit earlier. He is your Season 4 champion. And Nick's a great guy, a lot of fun to talk to, does a lot of online racing, watches a lot of MotoGP. And a nice crossover move trying to get underneath the Ferrari of Sandro Racing, but these two going side by side, a little bit of a scrap here on track. And that is kind of fun to watch as they go side by side through these corners. And it looks like Nick might come out on top of that. They're still side by side coming out of that, and a little bit of argy-bargy as they're rubbing shoulders with each other. Sandro maybe not appreciating Nick's driving right now, and it is preseason, so there's a little bit of pushback there. So Sandro able to skip away. Not too far there. Nick's still trying to hang with him here on the old tires. Nick's got 11 laps on those hards. Sandro's got 10 laps on his, so Nick's been out there a little bit lap longer. And that's one thing we can say about Nick is that he is, and Sam Brandt even talked about this last year with me, he's very aggressive on the throttle. He puts a lot of stress on his rear tires, and he also likes a very loose race car, so Nick's a lot of fun to watch on track, especially in the wet. And there you see some snap oversteers. He tries to get the power back down. So that's just Nick. Hard on the throttle, hard on his tires. Running often has to short pit because he runs his tires so ragged. And we saw Sandro have a moment off track, and now him and Nick are running with each other again. But Nick, Season 4 champion, managed to lock that up late in the season. Had a little bit of a rough year last year. Did have a couple podiums. Did have a couple pole positions. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to make a dent in the championship. Looks like Nick had 4 podium positions, a couple of pole positions, and we'll see if he can do it again this year. Maybe get back to that championship form. See the blue flags wave. Next, we're going to talk about Robin Hertischen. And he is coming back for his second season. He'll be teamed up with Louis Quinlan. Louis Quinlan was actually a pretty competitive driver a couple seasons ago, back in Season 3, I believe. But unfortunately, last year and Season 4 were abysmal seasons for Louis Quinlan. Was not able to participate in all the races. The races that he did participate in, he basically DNF'd in almost 100% of the races that he participated in. So Alfa Romeo's got their work cut out for him from a constructor standpoint. Robin Hertischen, a good mid-pack driver, usually doesn't cause a lot of drama, usually doesn't cause a lot of headaches for other drivers. I think Robin understands where he sits in the pecking order as far as speed goes. But he's a good, consistent driver. He often finishes mid-pack, puts points on the board. And given that his teammate is Louis Quinlan, we certainly hope Louis finds some of his old pace with this year's handling model in F1 2020. But Robin, I would say at this point, is definitely going to be the A driver of the Alfa Romeo team. And he's going to be their best chance at putting some points on the board for sure. And the one guy that we haven't quite talked about yet is going to be good old Colin Higgins in the Renault. He'll be returning once again. Colin Higgins in for his 4th season, and he'll be teamed up with Foons Van Houten. And Foons, unfortunately, not making the preseason test thus far, but Foons wasn't able to participate in a full season last year due to his job, and I believe that's been straightened out a little bit this year. He should be able to make more of the races. Colin Higgins, though, Colin Higgins still known for his famous debut at Australia back a couple of seasons ago, where his debut ended up with him barrel rolling down the straightaway towards turn 3. But Colin Higgins, nice guy. Again, a lot like Robin Hertischen. He's a mid-pack driver, often puts points on the board. Doesn't cause a lot of drama. Doesn't cause a lot of headaches for other drivers. He was Tim Ventick's teammate last year, but there was such a disparity between Tim Ventick and Colin Higgins that Higgins wasn't able to be. I mean, he was the B driver of the team, but he wasn't able to offer a lot of support as far as the team role goes for Tim Ventick. So he's going to be paired up with Foons, and I think that's going to be a little bit better pairing as far as driver relatability and as far as pace goes. I think they can work off of each other. And I think a lot of these guys this year, with so many returning drivers, I think this is the first time, not only in this league, but in any league that I've participated in, that I've seen more returning drivers to a league for the second year consecutively than ever before, as Higgins blows through the chicane. But I think him and Foons will be a little bit more compatible with each other than rather Tim. So I think from a lot of these guys, I think are looking at this from the constructor standpoint. to see who could finish where as far as the Constructors' Championship goes. So Colin Higgins currently quickest with a 1:32.979. Jensen Randall still your fastest driver during preseason testing. And we did talk about Reese March a little bit. And that brings us to Louis Quinlan, who is just now getting on track. We did touch on Louis a little bit. And again, certainly hoping he has better luck this year than he has in the past couple seasons. Maybe getting some good rest, coming back a little bit recharged, and hopefully be able to put some points on the board this year and not so many DNFs. Let's take a look here. And then we've got newcomer this year in the Williams, Young Chaza. That is Charles Palmer Stevens. I'm just going to refer to him as Charles Palmer. There's only one driver in this group that's going to have three names, and that's Cameron Weston Edwards. And that's mostly because it flows better than Charles Palmer Stevens. But Charles Palmer, I don't know much about this guy. Rookie year. Sandro found him some way, somehow, and going to participate. He's going to be in the Williams this year. Looks like he'll be teamed up with Brian Power, who we did talk about a little bit earlier. So, again, don't know much about him. Charles Palmer hasn't put together a hot lap just yet. Well, we can certainly ride along with him. Looks like he's on a flyer right now. Maybe we can find out, see what his pace is like. We'll ride on board with him. Just watching some of his steering input. And I'm sure we'll learn more about Charles Palmer as the season goes on. We'll take a look at his driving style, and I'm sure we'll learn more about him as it goes on. But I mean, it's nice to see so many returning drivers, but it is nice to have at least one or two fresh faces, maybe to see where they stack up against the competition. Oh, and he runs a little wide there, so that was not the cleanest corner. To be fair, Paul Ricard is not the best track. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's not a bad track as far as to test on. It's got a good mixture of all types of turns. Turns that you can take flat out, turns that are, a hard braking chicane, a long straightaway with best your top speed. There's not a lot of elevation change, so, you kind of get a feel for the suspension geometry and where you need it to be for handling. So, but Charles Palmer, 1:32.549 on the hard tires, and that's right behind Sandro Dulius as far as the times go on hard tires. Sandro, the fastest driver on hards right now, 1:32.317. Charles Palmer only 0.2 of a second off of that, so Charles showing us a little bit of speed right now. And it's always fun and exciting to see where somebody like that's going to stack up. We've got just under 60 minutes to go in this preseason test. As some of these drivers get acclimated to the league, the new drivers, returning drivers, the handling model for F1 2020. I think we are going to run just a real quick 3-lap sprint race when this is all over, just for the fun of it. But really, this is an actual proper preseason testing, and it's kind of nice to see SRL do that. Now, Palmer's definitely running a little bit quicker this time, I think, than last time. He lost a lot of time at that one corner, but not this time around. He's going to come back out onto the front stretch from that very hard right-hander. Gets the power back down. DRS slot is open. And he is going to come across the line and not able to improve his time. It's actually a little bit off. Well, that is Charles Palmer. That is the 12 drivers that we've got joined in right now. So some drivers that we are missing, we'll recap the teams. We've got Mercedes Petronas is going to be Jensen Randall and last year's champion Tim Bentic. Sandro Dulius and Dion Stahl will be at Ferrari, and Dion not with us, but Dion, longtime racer, returning for his 6th season as well. So quite the veteran here at the in SRL. Dion also very fast at sports cars. He participates in the IRL IMSA series on the Project Cars 2, where he had a couple of wins. He also participated with me in the MRL, which was the Motion Racing League. We did the 24 hours of Le Mans. That was a full 24 hours through Gran Turismo Sport. We won in the GT class, so go Team Jaguar. It was me, Reese March, Dion Stahl, and Samuel Brandt, a team of 4 drivers. We ran in 3-hour increments, or 3-hour stints, and we managed to win that race, so good on us. Red Bull is going to be Nick Van Gelder, and Jim Marusic will be returning for his 4th season, and again, that's going to be a pairing for Team Red Bull. That's they're familiar with each other. They have been with each other for a number of seasons now. Nick, unfortunately, right now, all the way down in the 11th spot. So 11th quickest. He's got 19 laps on those hard tires, though. So running a race simulation right now and trying to do a full stint on those tires. Then we've got Team McLaren. I mean, Cameron Weston Edwards and Rennie Vanderstappen. We talked about them both earlier on. And it looks like Nick cannot get away from Sandro, and Sandro can just not get away from Nick. These two have been running with each other for a number of laps now. And I do want to give a shout out to Louis Quinlan, who just went 4th quickest on the mediums, 1:32.058. So good to see Louis put a time on the board. It looks like Widowmaker has left the session. That's Jan Holm. I didn't even realize he was in here. So we'll talk about him in a minute as well. But really, we want to talk about Team McLaren just again real quick. They're going to be the ones that I think are going to give Team Mercedes. Oh, and a moment there for Van Gelder. A little bit of snap oversteer. And he's going to take out the braking markers. And then Team Renault, we talked about Foons Van Houten, Colin Higgins. Racing Point's going to be Ivan Brito and Dennis Carenchis. And AlphaTauri, we did talk about Andrea Alatrella. And we just saw Widowmaker leave. That's Jan Holm. That is our elder statesman, Jan, the oldest gentleman in the group. He will be returning for his 4th straight season with SRL. Unfortunately, the last couple seasons been really tough for Jan. He's had a number of DNFs. Apparently, the handling model did not bode well for Jan the past couple seasons. But Jan's a nice guy. He's a great guy. He doesn't cause a lot of drama on track or off track. He understands where he runs in the pecking order, and he tries to put points on the board if he can. And really, he's an older gentleman, and I think he just does it for the fun of it. I think he enjoys just being a part of league racing, and always a pleasure to have Jan with us. Hopefully he can get back in here and participate in the preseason test. Alfa Romeo is going to be Robin Hertischen and Louis Quinlan. We talked about them. Haas is once again going to be Sam Brandt and Reese March. And Brian Power is with Charles Palmer, I think is what it was, for the Williams team. And then we do have a couple of reserve drivers. Luke Smith, who's not with us today, that is the Australian. Hard for him to make the races because it's like, 4 in the morning when it's time for us to race for him. And Yannick Verpayten, going to be another reserve driver this year. And working on getting some other drivers, I'm sure, in the reserves as the season goes on. So 22 race schedule this year for SRL. Things are going to kick off. Round 1 is going to be at Austria. And from Austria, we will move on to... that's not what I want to do. What's going on here? Anyways, round 1 is going to be Austria. Round 2 will be at Bahrain. Round 3 will be Australia. Round 4 will move on to China. And then round 5 will be Koda. Round 6 is going to be Russia. Round 7 will be Spain. And then round 8 is going to be Zandvoort, Netherlands. So it'll be first time SRL's on that track, obviously. France, where we're at today, Paul Ricard, will be round 9. Round 10 is going to be the infamous Monaco circuit. And then round 11 will be Great Britain, and that will be the first half of the season. And then heading into the second part of the season, we have Hungary, Belgium, Italy, Azerbaijan, Abu Dhabi, Canada, Vietnam. Obviously, first time we'll be going there. It'll be round 18. Round 19 will once again be Singapore. 20 will be Mexico. And then we are going to finish off the season in a more traditional fashion with Suzuka and Brazil, as we see Nick Van Gelder and Sandro Dulius rubbing shoulders once again. So Sandro, and Nick loses the back end of the car. Sandro's going to head into the pits. So 22 race schedule. And we see Nick continuing to struggle. So Ivan Brito in here. See Sam Pikes on the live chat. So 50 minutes left to play in this preseason testing. Talked about the drivers and the calendar, and by all means, if anybody's got any questions, reach out on the live chat. And in fact, I can see if maybe we can get a couple of the drivers in here. In fact, I want to try and get Cameron Weston Edwards in here. Maybe we do a quick interview with Cameron. Oh. Where is... I've got way too many friends. I can't seem to find him, but let's get Nick in here. See if Nick will come in here, talk to us. So he continues to run around. See if Nick heads into the pits. It looks like Colin Higgins left the session and has rejoined. 48 minutes left to play in the session as we continue to watch Nick 24-lap Old Hards. I can't imagine that they're going to go much longer than that. We had a yellow flag in Sector 2, and there's Nick Van Gelder.
Hey, Lance.
Nick, just watching you here on the live stream and seeing your playing around a little bit, it looks like, with Sandro. Can't quite seem to get away from him, can you?
Yeah, I mean, I was playing around a little, yeah. First with Reese and then with Sandro, because yeah, I was doing a hard tire run anyway, so I wasn't really running for the lap times, and I guess was just practicing the racecraft a little bit and the overtaking opportunities. So yeah, I'm gonna do a couple of runs trying to get some lap times as well later on in this session.
That was going to be the next question, because you seem to have been out there for a long time on those hard tires, doing obviously a full simulation run, but you know, 24 laps is almost a full race distance for SRL since we run 50% races, so
yeah,
that's how is the wear on those tires? I mean, I talked about it a little bit earlier. You are relatively aggressive on your tires, so how are they holding up?
Yeah,
after 24 laps?
Well, pretty fine actually, but I think the tire wear in a practice session is scaled to a 100% race. So my tires are currently at around 49%, but in a 50% race that would be probably already punctured, or at least close to that. So yeah, it's not possible to do 25 laps on the hards in a 50% race, that's for sure.
So moving into the season here, I mean, obviously you're returning once again, and you're the Season 4 champion. You feel like you might be able to get back to championship form, or you're going to be running for second, because Tim Ventic is obviously the championship favorite heading into the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to to sort of know where you'll be in terms of pace, but I think, it's going to be very difficult and probably near on impossible to get on the level that Tim Ventic was last season. And also, of course, we've got Jensen as well, and the other Mercedes was very quick. He did crash a lot last year, but I think if he can keep it on the track, then he'll be definitely a championship contender as well. And I'm definitely not expecting to make a challenge for the title probably. I think, yeah, the season is going to be a little bit similar to last year. I think we may see someone else running away with the championship. I think maybe Jensen, or we've got Andrea as well, who is very quick if he can, stay consistent and be present for a lot of rounds. So I think there might be a couple of, let's say, dark horses that can maybe be very quick that we might not have seen last year. But yeah, I think for the championship it's going to be difficult, and it's not really the goal, because I think it's not really realistic to sort of set that bar so high. I think I'm going to be looking to, take as many podiums as I can. Maybe it's going to be possible to win a couple of races, but yeah, the championship is a long stretch.
So championship's a long shot for you, but you did say you might be able to pick up a couple wins. I mean, it's going to be a very long season, 22 races. I know a lot of leagues aren't running the full 22 tracks that I deal with, so I mean, that'll be kind of interesting. But I mean, any tracks that you're going to look forward to that you might circle on the calendar, is that's going to be the one that I have a better chance of winning than some of the others?
Yeah, maybe Silverstone is one of my best tracks. At least it is statistically, because so far it's a pretty consistent pattern around there, because I didn't participate in Season 1. I won the race in Season 2. I then again missed the race in Season 3 and won the race in Season 4. And I missed it again. I missed it again last year, so it's like... yeah,
so you should win it this year.
Yeah, exactly. In all the races that I have participated there, I've won. So if we go by that logic, I should win it indeed. But yeah, apart from that, I think the two victories last year in Monza and China were very lucky, because I wasn't really the fastest in these races. But in China I was battling with Vasilios, but of course we tangled up in the final lap, and he lost a lot of time because of it. And also I think of course, Vanderstappen had that incident with, I think it was Lewis Marshall and someone else.
I think it was Tim Ventic actually, and it was.
Yeah.
I talked about it a little bit earlier. Round 8 was a bit of a messy race for Team McLaren.
Yeah.
But I mean,
And then
looking at from a team standpoint, because you and you're obviously paired up once again, and you guys have been very compatible as far as teammates go. Is there a possibility for maybe making a run at the Constructors' Championship, or do you guys feel like maybe you'll be too far off the pace for even that?
yeah, probably, because when we look at Mercedes with Tim Venting and Jensen Randall, I mean, they are both really quick, so yeah, I don't really expect it will be quick enough to make a fight for their constructors as well.
I think a lot of us are kind of hoping for a Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg type rivalry there with Mercedes. I think everybody's tired of seeing Mercedes be the top crop. I guess the closest we've had in SRL was a couple seasons ago with Vasilios and Francis McKinn, and some very tumultuous relationships. So be interesting to see. A lot of people have said the same thing about Tim and Jensen. But you're also the second driver to bring up Andrea as a dark horse. Cameron Weston Edwards mentioned that as I talked to him yesterday, that Andrea probably is the only one that's got maybe the pace to take it to Tim if he can make all the races. I think is going to be the issue for some of these drivers, is going to be making the majority of these races.
Yeah, I think he could definitely be one that can challenge indeed, and maybe I think Dennis Garenchis is also pretty fast sometimes. But yeah, I don't think, I'm not expecting him to really be able to, mix it in the fight with Jensen and Tim and drivers like that. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm looking forward to see what it's gonna be like, and yeah, I'm very excited for the new season.
Now, how do you feel about moving into the new tracks? Obviously, Vietnam and Zandvoort, even though it's technically an old track, it's obviously been remodeled, repaved, and have you done a lot of practicing on those tracks? I mean, do you feel one better than the other, or kind of be a crapshoot moving into the race that weekend?
Well, I definitely prefer Zandvoort. I did one 50% race around there, and Hanoi as well, but I'm not a huge fan of Hanoi, to be honest. It's a decent track, but I definitely prefer Zandvoort. It's very flowing and fast, and I actually liked it a lot more than what I was expecting. And yeah, it's pretty flowing actually, and a lot of blind corners as well. But it's a pretty busy lap, but definitely an enjoyable track, especially the hot lap around. I'm not sure how the racing is gonna be, but to just bang in a quick lap, it's very rewarding to drive Zandvoort.
It's interesting that you do bring that up as far as the hot lap goes, because that is actually relatively a short track in comparison to a lot of the modern F1 tracks. It's only like 2.6 miles, which is very short by today's standards. But Hanoi, you do mention that. I mean, does it have an Azerbaijan type feel to it, or is it just kind of on its own? I've only raced on it once, and I found it very difficult to get a grasp on a racing line and braking points. It's fun because there's a lot of flat out sections, but it also feels kind of messy at the same time.
Yeah, indeed, it's difficult to take the right line through some corners, and especially in the middle sector there's a bit where it's pretty blind, and also, yeah, I think in some corners multiple lines are possible, like you can choose to go a bit wider and carry more corner speed, or take the line tighter and travel less distance, but also with a little bit less speed. So it's a pretty interesting circuit, and I definitely enjoy driving it. And yeah, for Hanoi, it's fine as well to me, but I feel like Zandvoort will be a better track. I don't think I'm very quick around Hanoi. I'm not like as confident around there.
Well, we certainly wish you the best of luck heading into Season 6. Good to have you back for a fourth season. We'll look forward to a Silverstone. If the pattern keeps up, that'll be one to watch. So,
yeah.
Season 4 champion Nick Van Gelder, and we'll let you get back to it, Nick, and we'll get somebody else in here. But yeah, definitely good luck heading into the opening round this year.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Appreciate your time, Nick.
All right, yeah.
So let's see who else we can get in here. See if we can get league president Sandro Racing in here. As we continue to watch the cars circulate, less than 37 minutes to go in the session as we watch Reese March, who's on a medium tire run. Nick did bring up a good point, though, about his tire wear, that because it is a full 90-minute practice session, that his tire wear is probably set to simulate a 100% race. So, that being said, his tires would have been done and gone at that point. Then we've got Sandro joining us, league president, league owner, team Ferrari, the A driver for sure. And Sandro, what are your expectations heading into the season, and how does the new game feel so far?
Thanks for having me here. It's a mixed bag. I really don't know how the season's gonna plan out. I don't know where everybody stands. I personally feel like I feel more comfortable in this game than on the last one. I prefer the driving physics. So I'm confident heading into the season. Unfortunately, I didn't have that much running on the game in the last few weeks, but I'm currently trying to get myself into the groove again. Confident heading to round 1 next week.
And obviously you're back with Dion again for another season with Ferrari. Think you'll be able to take a stab at the championship? You talked a little bit earlier that you're one of the few league owners that I don't believe you've ever won a championship in your own league.
Yeah, that's true. Gonna take some shots at other league owners. They usually sign people that are slower than themselves so they can win the championship. I don't do that. I came close quite a few times, but fortunately haven't won it yet. This season, it's difficult to say. Consistency, I really want to get my consistency up. I think that's a big key to be competitive in this championship. But my main goal, first of all, is to be fighting for podiums and possibly wins at some point, week in, week out. That's my first goal, and we'll see where we stand with like 10 races to go in the standings, and it might be possible.
And you did bring up a good point. I did talk about it earlier as well, that it does seem as if a lot of other leagues, their owners or presidents do seem to cater to themselves. So I did bring up that point as well, and I did commend you on how fair you've made this league over the last number of seasons. Obviously we have a full SRL rule book. You have a team of stewards that, vote through a democracy on how the decisions should be made, and I think it's for you're like a mixed bag. You're kind of like a small league driver-wise, because you don't have a lot of drivers this year. You've actually got a lot of returning drivers, but you do have a lot of viewership. So I think that goes to the testament of the driving of the league, how well of a show you guys have put on. So definitely commend you on that. Moving forward, though, through the season, is there any tracks that you might be looking at where you think you might be able to snatch that win? I know you said you wanted to fight for podiums, but do you think there might be a win or two in the season for you?
Oh yeah, I usually have my tracks that I really like. I think I showed that at Season 4, especially where I won at Singapore and Japan, 2 of my, probably statistically best tracks. There are other tracks I really enjoy, like for example Spa or Silverstone, which are great tracks. I haven't had the best track up there, but I really enjoy those tracks. But I think I definitely have a shot at a win at one of these tracks, hopefully.
And how do you feel about the 2 new tracks? Obviously, it doesn't look like we'll really get to see them this year in real life, but how do you feel about Zandvoort and Hanoi going into the season? Good tracks, bad tracks?
Zandvoort feels great, especially on a hot lap. Zandvoort is a great circuit, has an amazing flow. Overtaking will be a challenge, will be difficult, but I like having a challenge with overtaking, and it's not just open up the DRS and away we go. So that's nice. Hanoi, that's a different story. I'm really not a fan of Hanoi. Just the last sector is nice, but especially the first sector just feels off. It's just understeery, and yeah, it's not my favorite track, but have to get used to it, have to accept it and adapt to it, and yeah, we'll see how things go there later on in the season.
It's funny, your testament is almost exactly the same as Nick said, especially with Zandvoort. He loves the flow, he loves doing the hot lap there, and obviously it's an older track, but it has been resurfaced, remodeled, reformatted, if you will. But the one thing that me and Nick had talked about a little bit is just how short Zandvoort is in comparison to a lot of today's tracks. It's only like 2.6 miles long, which is a relatively quick lap time. And you say overtaking might be a little bit hard on that track. I mean, is there any good overtaking spots really at that track, especially with these new banked curves that they got in there?
Yeah, turn 1 is difficult because it's kind of blind going to the exit and the inside curb. If you put one tire on the inside curb, you straight away lose the car and go for a spin. So that's a big challenge. I think an underrated overtaking opportunity is the chicane after the second DRS straight in the middle sector. I think if the driver ahead of you gets a bad run coming out the corner before that, you can get a run on him and maybe dive it down the inside. This track is quite comparable to Hungary, where you have to force the driver ahead into a mistake, so you get a shot at overtake. Yeah, it will be interesting to see. It's definitely, as I said earlier, it's definitely a challenge to overtake on that track, but I think that's something I like.
And as far as Team Ferrari goes, I know a lot of people are pointing at Tim Ventic to be the front runner this year, but is there any chance of Ferrari possibly making a run at the Constructors' Championship with you and Dion?
Yeah, I think there is, because I think me and Dion have proven to be usually the two drivers that miss the least amount of races, together with Nick maybe, and that makes us score points basically every single race, because I think we're also quite consistent if we get our act together. So yeah, I think we have a good shot at it, especially I know Jensen at Mercedes, the teammate of Tim, he is very quick but also very inconsistent, so if he maybe has a DNF or some more, we can definitely be up there. I think we have a good shot at the Constructors.
And talk to you a little bit from a league presidency standpoint, obviously in charge of the league this year. How do you feel about having Cameron and Rennie back at Team McLaren? Rennie obviously coming off of his ban from last year, and Cameron, as aggressive as he is, do you see any incidences maybe like we did last year with them at China?
First of all, for Rene, remember he got a 12-month ban, which actually would only end back in October, and now the upcoming October month. We reduced his ban to only 10 months because he got reinstated by ourselves. He felt guilty of what he did, he accepted his penalty, and he took it like a sportsman. And so we decided to reduce the penalty to only 10 months, and he's really hyped for the season. And Rene has never been involved in any of those incidents before that one, so I think just a one-off mistake that he made, and I'm not scared that anything comparable happens again this season. About Cameron, we all know Cameron's driving style, which is close to the edge of being unfair, but just it's just very aggressive. I actually really like that. His defending is amazing. We saw that at Japan last season, for example. His driving style definitely provokes collisions. That's not I mean, it happens, but that's just, he's a character, and we need that in the league, so I think it's a nice addition having him in the league, and he's a great guy as well off the track, so yeah, Team McLaren will definitely be very interesting to watch.
Yeah, Cameron is a lot of, he is a character. I talked about it earlier about how his driving style is very, I put him in the same class as like Ayrton Senna, Max Verstappen, Ryan Newman. He's basically going to put his car in an area, and you're going to have to make the decision as to whether or not you want to go for it or if you're just going to back off, because chances are you're not going to get around him, and if you try to, his car's usually in a precarious position. And I think Max proved that a couple of seasons ago when he first started with Formula One that, you know, his defending is, as you said, borderline. It's on the edge.
Yeah.
Well, we've got Sam Brandt on the live chats. Too bad Sam didn't make the preseason test, but we'll let you get back to it, Sandra. Appreciate you taking the time to chat with us and give us some insight into how you think your season's going to go. We talked to Nick a little bit, and we'll see if maybe we can get another couple drivers in here. But last stab at a question here. Championship favorites as far as the Drivers' Championship goes. Think it's going to go to Tim again? Back it up?
I have my top three. Tim, Jensen, and Andrea Latrella at AlphaTauri. I think Tim is probably the favorite because Jensen is still struggling with his consistency, having a lot of retirements. Andrea might be a surprise to some people. Remember, he joined at the end of last season, only racing in 3 races, but he took 2 podiums and a win, so I think that's a solid stat line. But yeah, I'd take Tim, but I think definitely Andrea can challenge him.
And has there ever been a back-to-back champion in SRL? It's always been somebody different every year, hasn't it?
Yeah, that would be first if Tim takes second this year.
That is something to watch out for, so... Cool deal. Well, we'll let you get back to it. I think I'll try and get maybe Reese in here. But real quick, Charles Palmer, where did we find him? I don't have a lot of information on him but a name. We watched him a little bit. Looks like he had some good pace on the hard tires, but where did we find him at?
Yeah, Charles Palmer he signed up a few months back. He got onto the waiting list, and Cameron Weston Edwards recommended him. I think he knows him from a different league. And I take Cameron's recommendations very seriously because I know that Cameron is on a really high standpoint of knowing people in the community, and he knows what drivers I'm searching for, so I trust him a lot in that. And yeah, I think Charles is a nice addition to the league, and he'll be lining up at Williams this year.
You're right, Cameron's a good dude. He's definitely tells you who to watch out for, so it takes me back to the David Wallbank era. So.
Oh yeah.
Well, we look forward to seeing you on track, and good luck next week at the season opener and throughout the course of the season, and hopefully we'll talk to you when you get on the podium.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me.
Not a problem, man. Oh, let's see who we could get in here next. So there you hear it from Sandro Dulius. Let's see if we can maybe get our buddy Reese in here. And it looked like Cameron Weston Edwards left the session, maybe put in enough practice for the day. There's 25 minutes remaining in the preseason test here, and Edwards had gone, looks like maybe he did a qualifying run, did 1 lap, went 3rd quickest with a 1:29.5. So we'll see if we can get Reese in here. Reese currently in the pits, so hopefully... Whoa, and Sandra has a big moment there. And it looks like Reese is actually going to retire from the session. So big moment there for Sandro. And Reese has left the session, so maybe he has other prior engagements to get to. We'll see if he joins in or not. If not, we'll try and get somebody else back in here. So, but Jensen Randall's been at the top of the charts all day. 128.790, as now it looks like some of these guys have done their hard run simulations, and they are going to be going into the short run simulations and possibly quali simulations. Jensen's still at the top of the charts where he's been all day. 128.790, the only driver to crack into the 128 so far. Now Dennis Caranches has run a 129 flat, so he's only a couple tenths off of Jensen's time. see the top 3 drivers, Cameron, Weston, Edwards, as we talked about, the top 3 drivers all setting their times on softs. Now, for what it's worth, Sandro did set a time 1:29.8 on the medium tires. And then Andrea still making circuits around the track as he goes to the chicane here on the backstretch. 1:30.177. So it looks like doesn't look like Reese is going to join us, but we'll see who else we can get in here. I'd like to hear from some of these drivers. In fact, let's talk to Jensen. We don't talk to him too much. It would be kind of interesting to hear from him. I don't know him as well. He does do the IMSA series, which we're going to yellow flag sector 2. Look like that's at the back straightaway. I don't know who that would be. And we do have Jensen Randall joining us. Jensen, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be, sitting at the top of the charts. I just want to talk to you a little bit heading into the season. Looks like Team Mercedes is going to be the team to beat, maybe you and Tim Ventic. How do you feel moving into the season with Tim as your teammate?
Well, we're both fellow teammates each other. Of course, we can try and work together, but I definitely feel I'll have the pace to take the fight to him. But yeah, I reckon it's going to be alright come the end and come up with a good team connection or team working. Yeah, consider it like that, but yeah.
But you think you've got the pace to take the fight to Tim? I mean, is there a possibility of a Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg type rivalry there within the team, or do you want to try and work more as a team together for a Constructors' Championship?
Well, of course we want to work towards the Constructors, because this season it's quite a high chance we've definitely made it secure for Mercedes, but of course everyone wants to drive as much on their side as well, and I wouldn't want to be giving up on team orders and such for like stuff, so I'd be still going for it all the way to the end.
Now, you do bring up team orders, and that's a little bit of an interesting thing to touch on. Because you are so fast and you do seem to have a good pace, that you might actually be able to take the fight to Tim. Tim's the defending champion. I mean, is there a clear-cut A-B driver persona between you two, or just going to try and feel it out and see how it goes throughout the course of the season?
Well, I'll have to try and make my myself known that I'm not the giving to anything going on with it. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, and hopefully we don't fall out as teammates, but yeah.
And looking forward through the year, I mean, is there any tracks that you have circled on the calendar that you really feel like you have a shot at winning for sure?
Monaco, definitely one. I definitely feel the momentum's got much better there.
That's an interesting pick. Not a lot of people pick Monaco as a track that they think they can win at. That's a really interesting choice. How do you feel about the new tracks in the game, the Hanoi and the Zandvoort? Do you feel like they might be good tracks for you, or maybe not so much?
Well, I've driven them both. I think both of them I've driven twice as well in my other leagues. And yeah, I've felt I got a good rhythm around Hanoi for sure. Zandvoort's a bit questionable, but it's how I compare to the other drivers. Trying to do it in the end, so I reckon I could possibly take a few this season. But yeah, sure, gonna try and take flight to Tim in the championship. That's my main goal.
Well, you might actually have a leg up on the competition when it comes to Hanoi, because you're actually the first driver I've talked to about those two tracks who's gone in the Hanoi direction more than Zandvoort. So it seems like a lot of guys are struggling with the Hanoi, trying to find a setup, and Sandro had mentioned that he seems to have some issue with understeer in Sector 1 of Hanoi, so maybe circle that one on the calendar as well. Maybe you get yourself another win.
Yeah, the understeer in Sector 1 Hanoi is natural. It's a brand new track. So
And
you'd expect it. It's not rubbed in yet.
now, speaking of trying to take that fight to Tim, there has been some talk about the little bit of inconsistency that you have. You seem to be... It's almost like an all or nothing type deal with you. You're either going to win the race or you're going to crash trying. Have you tried to work on your racecraft at all? Maybe be a little bit more consistent with finishes? Maybe be a little bit more mathematical about, going forward with it? Or are we still trying to... Because me, I'm full throttle. I want to win the race or we're gonna die trying. Usually we crash.
Well, yeah, I've definitely changed my style. I've seemed to be more on the race pace side, more up on the race pace side of things than quali pace, as I've only took one pole position in any of my leagues on this game. So just goes to say as well, and the traction feels a whole lot better on this game. It's a lot more manageable, and all the tracks have been some of the tracks have been re-mapped a bit with such bumps eliminated and that, so it's going to be a whole lot easier.
Interesting point there, especially about the traction part. I know some of the guys have talked about how the handling model's a little bit different, but haven't really had anybody bring up the traction or even a traction control issue with the game. I believe you are also a wheel driver. Do you use traction control at all in the game?
I did at first. Of course, last season I did use traction control for, I think, one race, and that was Canada. And that was my first ever race on the wheel. But yeah, it's got a lot better, become more manageable with it, and I'd say that inconsistency I did have, I'm pretty sure that's all gone away now. I'm ready to go all the way to the end.
Well, we certainly look forward to it. Tim, obviously, the championship favorite as being the defending champ, but a couple of other drivers have mentioned your pace. And aside from you, is there any other drivers that you think might be able to take the battle to Tim and even yourself?
Of course, Andrea has been really quick. Of course, putting in some good performances in the last season. Cameron's got the pace as well. He picked up a few podiums, almost won Japan. He's quite close there. It depends how consistent all the drivers are, and of course, Nick has always been in that fight. So I'd say those three drivers would be my main three, and Dennis as well.
Yeah, I think Dennis right now is a little bit of a dark horse because he didn't participate in a lot of races last year, but the races he did participate in, he did show some good pace. So, and currently sitting second in the time charts, only a couple of tenths behind you yourself. So, could be a good championship battle. And it looks like Sandro's just gone third quickest. Well, Jensen, we certainly appreciate you taking the time to talk to us for a few minutes, and certainly want to wish you the best of luck moving into round one. And we'll let you get back to it, and we'll see if we can get another driver in here for another driver interview. Appreciate the time, Jensen.
Cheers. Thank you.
Let's see, who do we got? We talked to Nick. You know, I see Louie's on here. Let's see if we can talk to Louie a little bit. And we've only got 12 minutes to go in this session. We see Jensen on his out lap, and Andrea has gone second quickest. He's the second driver to crack into the 128s with a 128.991. We see a yellow flag, sector 1 and 3. So Dennis Carenches is on his out lap. Sandro Julius is cracking into the 129s. Looks like he might have done a qualifying run. Cameron Weston Edwards, who I think left the session a little while ago, running 5th. Charles Palmer is been 6th quickest. Reese March has left the session. Louie, we're seeing if we can get Louie in here for a driver interview, see how he feels about moving into the season. We've got Colin Higgins, who's gone 130.850. Brian Power, 131. And we obviously talked to Nick for a little while and Robin Hertischen, so less than 12 minutes to go, and certainly want to appreciate everybody joining us on the live stream, in the live chat. You got any questions or comments, by all means, send them to me. I'll try and answer them the best I can, but covered a lot today in this 90-minute preseason test, and I want to commend the drivers that did show up and join and participate in this. I want to thank everybody who's actually tuned into my channel. There wasn't a stream planned for the official SRL channel, so we did it on here, and by all means, you can definitely check out the SRL YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to that as the season kicks off, and be sure to get caught up on all of the previous seasons that they have available. Also, check out the SRL IMSA series that we ran on Project Cars 2. We'll be running that on Gran Turismo Sport moving into next season. Sam Brandt made the decision to change from Project Cars 2 to Gran Turismo Sport at the mostly because Project Cars 2 is, for the lack of a better term, is a broken game. It's obviously anybody that's played Project Cars 2, it's very hit and miss. It's a lot of fun to play. It's nice that they've got weather effects. You can run a full 24 hours. You can run through the day to night, night into day. Obviously dynamic weather, but the game is very glitchy. A lot of lobby issues. Sam had consistent problems last year with Project Cars 2 being kicked out of a lobby. I was even kicked mid-race. I wasn't running great at Sonoma, but I was finally starting to get a handle on the car as the car went into night and the temperature started to drop. I started to get a better handle on, oh, that's nice. A couple of guys banging into each other. Looks like that might have been Louie. But, so the game itself is very glitchy, and we decided to, Sam decided to try and do it on Gran Turismo Sport. Unfortunately, no dynamic weather, not really any type of dynamic night into day running, and some of the guys did not like the decision based on the handling model. As we see, Louis Quinlan is going to retire from the session with 10 minutes to go. But, I like Gran Turismo Sport. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know if we're going to do a multi-class Insta series on Gran Turismo Sport where we run LMP1s and GT cars, or if we'll just run, GT cars or just all LMP. IRL did used to run a Gran Turismo Sport league. They did Group 3 and Group 4 racing. And that's one thing I will say about Gran Turismo Sport. The Group 4 cars are a lot of fun. And we do have Louis Quinlan joining us. Louis, we just watched you retire from the session, but Louis, don't really talk to you a whole lot, and wanted to get a feel for you going into the season. I know the last couple F1 games have not been very kind to you, and moving into the season, do you feel like you might have a better grip on this game? Handling model might suit you a little better? Well, it's good to hear that you've got a little bit of confidence moving into the season. I know it's been a while since you've even run a consistent season, given your circumstances. I mean, do you plan on making the majority of the races this year? Now, speaking of the handling model, and obviously you've had some issues the last couple seasons, the issues that you did have in the last couple of games, was that because of the handling model and just not being able to suit your driving style, or just not able to come to grips with the game at all? Well, I can definitely agree with you on all that. I'm a pad driver myself, and I haven't played this game a whole lot. I've done a little bit of my career, and I've been really enjoying the older F1 cars, the Schumacher Jordan and the Benetton.
Yeah.
And I can definitely feel a difference. That I feel like I would be at least able to finish a race, because the few races that I have done in the past on the other games, I'm a pad driver. I get what you're saying. It's very inconsistent, and this year it does feel like it's a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a little bit more arcadey
arcadey
or just a little bit more consistent or stuck to the track.
Yeah.
So.
It's more fun for a pad driver, I'd say. It's a little bit more, less of a grind to get the car around the corner and thinking you're going to spin out and thinking about the throttle and everything else. I mean, if you run no traction at all on a pad, it's a lot harder, because with obviously pedals you have it's not as sensitive as a pad with the finger. It's funny enough, it's not. So every time I try and put my foot down in the old games, or try and come out of the corner quickly, I'd misjudge it and spin with a curve or something out of the ordinary with the grass or something, because I'm trying to judge my apex and the throttle at the same time. But this is a lot more fun, I think, for a pad driver, purely because you really don't have to think about when you're driving, and before you did, it was not as fun.
Yeah, and I think you're one of the few, if not the only, pad driver in the league, at least that's signed up to race full time. I can't speak for some of the other drivers, some of the reserves, but I'm fairly confident that the majority of the other drivers are all on a wheel. You may be the only one on a pad. So.
Yeah, I don't. To be fair, I wanted to get a pad, and not a pad, a wheel. Sorry, and I did actually get one, but obviously the setup and stuff, I don't think it worked for me, purely because space in my bedroom is not great. But the pad, I just feel a bit more comfortable on the pad, purely because I'm not very good at the gear shifts, if I'm honest. I've never really been great at it. I've always tried, especially on a pad. I've tried on the pad, tried to shift out, shift out. I'm not comfortable with it yet, and I feel like I'm trying to ease myself into it, where I can downshift, upshift, because there's people in this game where they gain nearly 2 tenths off a corner compared to me, because they can go in a gear that I can't, because obviously I'm running automatic, because, well, I haven't got to grips with the manual yet. So The pad's just easy, I'd say, and I'm quite a. Don't get me wrong. I like to be competitive. I like to score points. That's what I want to do this season. Of course, I don't think I'm not the fastest driver by any sort of, but I'd love to just score points. You know, be a good little, I don't know, confidence boost from other seasons, because I think one of my first seasons I scored alright points, but as it's gone on, I've been less like consistent.
Yeah, the last time I remember you being competitive was when you were teamed up with Lewis Bish at Racing Point, or Sahara Force India at the time.
Yeah, very long time ago.
So it's good to hear that you've got some confidence going into the season, and it's definitely good to hear that maybe you'll have better grips with the game and be a little bit more consistent. And like you said, you just want to put some points on the board. And I mean, to be fair, there's always a lot of focus on the championship battle, but I feel like the drivers that are in the league this year, I think there's going to be a good mid-pack battle, and I think this is going to be probably the most competitive Constructors Championship, I think, that I've ever seen, the way teams have lined up this year. So there's always that. And, speaking of that real quick, I mean, you're teamed up with Robin Hertischen, both of you relatively young, I guess, in the sport, because you've missed so much time the last couple seasons.
Yeah.
And he's just joining for the second season. I mean, you guys going to be good compatibility-wise, or do you guys haven't really talked much about being teammates?
I've not been introduced to my teammate, funny enough, in terms of talking. I've not actually talked to him yet. I mean, if he's young, it'll be good, because obviously we'll get on like that. Makes life a lot easier. Of course, when you're younger, you obviously see things the same, or maybe different, because you have a bit more, ideas when you're younger. You're a bit more, spring out your steps. So hopefully we can bring our youth to the track, and we can get them points on the board for our team. I mean, I just want to score good, decent points with my teammate this season. I mean, it's been a good year or so, and I have missed it. I have missed racing in SRL. I did, obviously, I still race in IRL now. I've just joined back in IRL. And I am enjoying the game this year. That's why I've kind of committed myself to actually playing this game and becoming better at it. I mean, it is fun. I can say that. The past couple of games, they haven't been massively fun. I just hope we can have fun on track with each other, and score some points for the team, because, well, it's always nice to score points,
Well, good to hear that you've got some confidence moving into this season, and we certainly look forward to you being on track for sure. And definitely want to wish you the best of luck as the season kicks off next week at Austria. And,
I appreciate that, man.
Time is up here for the preseason test here for SRL. Andrea Elatrella goes to the top of the charts with a last-ditch effort with a 128.657, running a qualifying simulation run, goes a tenth quicker than Jensen Randall. So Andrea saving the best for last. And looks like everybody set their fastest times on the soft tires as time has wound down. So Andrea, your quickest of the session, followed by Jensen Randall. Dennis Carenci's third quickest. Charles Palmer was fourth quickest. Sandro Julius fifth. Cameron Weston Edwards went sixth quickest. Colin Higgins was seventh quickest. Nick Van Gelder eighth. And then Reese March, Louis Quinlan, who we just talked to, Brian Power, and Robin Hertischen rounding out the 12 drivers that participated in the preseason test today. And I definitely want to give a shout out to those guys that all joined for the preseason test. I know it's 90 minutes and it's all for naught, but it looks good for the league to do such a thing. And we do see Nick still out on track, the last driver on track, as he slowly makes his way around the course. So not sure if anybody's going to participate in the 3-lap race, but I do want to give a quick shout-out to everybody that joined us on the live chat, and I do want to give a quick shout-out to the drivers that joined me for their interviews. I really appreciate it. So, guys, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to my YouTube channel. Be sure to check us out next week, where we kick off Season 6, F1 2020, on the PS4 platform for SRL. And there are a lot of SRL leagues, but there's only one Sandro Racing League. And Nick continues to circulate the track, and Austria should be interesting. And you got to hear from Jensen Randall, Nick Van Gelder, We got to talk to Sandro Dulius and Louis Quinlan, so it's good to hear from some of these drivers and where they stand and how they think the season's going to go. Obviously, a lot of guys pointing to Tim Ventic and Team Mercedes. I do kind of feel like, though, after talking to Jensen, I do kind of feel like there might be a little bit of a Nico Rosberg, Lewis Hamilton type rivalry that could spur there. Tim Ventic, even though he's the defending champ and obviously very quick, he's also a very young individual, so immaturity could play a part. Jensen Randall said he's worked on his racecraft and trying to become more consistent, so I do see maybe a little bit of a rivalry that could crop up there and maybe cause a little bit of turmoil throughout the course of the season. And obviously, a number of drivers, including Cameron Weston Edwards, even though we didn't hear from Cameron today, I did talk to him yesterday, and a lot of drivers pointing to Andrea Latrella as the dark horse of the competition who could possibly take the championship fight to him. Sandro's got a little bit more confidence going into the season. We obviously talked to Nick, was one of the drivers who thought that Andrea would be possibly fighting for the championship, and Louis Quinlan. Good to hear from Louis. I don't really get to talk to Louis that much, and obviously we talked about his issues. Just an enormous amount of DNFs the past couple seasons on the last couple of games. So good to hear that he's going back to IRL. He's coming back to SRL. He's going to try and put some points on the board. So definitely an interesting season. I wish we could have seen all of the drivers on track today. I would have loved to have talked to Sam and Colin Higgins a little bit, but there's always more time for that. And is there anybody left to even run the 3-lap quick race that we were talking about? We've got Sandro, Jensen, Brian Power, Andrea Latrella, Robin Hertischen, Nick Van Gelder, and Charles Palmer. We'll stick around for that, see who runs what. Quick little jaunt around the Circuit Paul Ricard here in France. France! Paul Ricard, obviously, another F1, another great F1 track that has been modernized to the point of being boring. Hopefully that's not the case with Zandvoort when F1 ever actually gets there, and we'll certainly see how interesting it can be. On the game. I mean, I've done career mode. Well, I haven't done a whole season yet, but I have started a career mode on the game, and I did run at Zandvoort. It was a lot of fun. So I guess we're off to the races. Quick 3-lap race, so it didn't do a formation lap or anything, and I don't even... Oh, the round goes! Jensen Randall, and there's a log jam in the back here with some of the other cars. And I think this is, and Robin Hertischen has left the session. Now that's Cameron Weston Edwards' car, but he's retired from the session. So let's go back to the battle. This is Brian Power leading a race with his teammate, Charles Palmer. So the two Williams out in front, and that's a good thing to see. Considering everything that's going on with Williams this past week, new ownership in real life, Claire stepping down. Luckily, the new owners are keeping the Williams name for now. We'll see how long that lasts. But Williams running 1 and 2 out front. Nick Van Gelder is running in third. He's got Andrea Latrella behind him. And Sandro running in the 5th spot, and then he's got Louis Quinlan behind him. And then I think the majority of these other cars, with the exception of Jensen Randall, I think are all, I think they're AI maybe. But we'll stick with the two Williams right now, as it looks like Nick Van Gelder and Andrea Latrella have caught up to these two cars. And Charles Palmer runs the fastest lap of the race, obviously, because it was the first lap. We'll see if he can keep up that pace. And Brian Power with a 2-second time penalty for cutting corners. pick up Nick Van Gelder. Van Gelder is all over the back of Brian Power, cuts that very close, and now he's got a good run coming out of the corner here and onto the backstretch. He'll definitely be able to use some of that slipstream. Jensen Randall just picked up a 2-second time penalty. Oh, and look at Andrea Alato. He's all over the back of him. He's going to swing out to the side. And Andrea to the inside, and Andrea's going to try and get the 2-for-1 deal. Screws it up, bangs wheels with Nick, and now he's pulled away Nick. And now Nick is side by side with Brian Power. He's not able to get in front of him. Through the sweeping right-hander, tries to get to the outside. He's using all the curb. Crossover move to the inside, and oh, he's touched wheels with Brian Power. And these two going side by side. You see Sandro in the background there, and Brian's going to push him wide coming out of that corner. And back to the inside, Nick, not able to make it work. Locks up the left front just a little bit, and oh, he bangs it in the back of him. Gives him the Dale Earnhardt bump and run. Tries to get the power down. Here comes Sandro. And now they're side by side heading down into turn 1. Ooh, and he bangs wheels with Sandro. Sandro's going to go deep into the brakes. Takes the pass on the outside. Final lap of this little 3-lap race. And Charles Palmer able to pull away while these guys have been battling it out. And here comes Andrea all over the back of Nick. I'm loving this onboard that I can control. Locks up the right front. Oh, and he bangs into the back of Sandro. These guys are obviously just racing for fun at this point. Nick gets a good run coming out of the corner. Side by side with Sandro. He gets a great run. Sandro going to be trying to do some blocking on Andrea. And down to the slipstream. Oh, and Nick's going to blow the corner. Nick blows the corner. Somehow Nick still comes out in the middle of this, but it looks like he was going to get a penalty for that anyways. This is all for naught. This is just fun racing here between these guys. Nick to the inside again. And this time he's going to get Brian. Sandro's going to look to try and make a move in the last few corners of this race. Nick losing the back end again. Sandro going to the outside. And Sandro's going to push Nick wide. Nick's going to go dive bombing into, and he's going to hit Brian Power. Around goes Sandro, and Andrea comes out on top. He's going to take the second position away. Charles Palmer with the win. And I've got Jeremy Pope joining me on the live chat. Jeremy, this was the preseason test for SRL. I commentate for them. I don't race. And that's your 3-lap sprint race after a 90-minute preseason test with these drivers. So congratulations to Andrea for driver of the day. Charles Palmer with the win, but it's all for naught. Be sure to tune in next week where we will be kicking off the Season 6 F1 2020 on the PS4 platform for SRL. And while there are many SRL leagues, there is only one Sandro Racing League. And even though this was all for naught, we got to talk to some of the drivers today. We got to see where everybody kind of stands just a little bit as far as the timing and scoring and what the pecking order might be. So appreciate the drivers tuning in for the preseason test. I want to thank everybody for joining me on the live channel. Be sure to check us out next week when we kick off. It'll be on the actual SRL channel. Not on mine, but you can like, subscribe, and comment to my channel if you'd like. But be sure to do the same for SRL. You can also check them out on Instagram. I don't know what that handle is. You can do a quick search. I will try and find out for everybody and make sure I have all the right information for next week. But a lot of fun today. Be sure to tune in next week where we kick off round 1 of 22 for Season 6 of SRL. And we will see everybody at the opening round.